I have been playing with this OpenAI new language model called ChatGPT, and it really blew my mind. It can literally answer any question of mine on any topic, and it can even generate programming codes based on my ask. For example, I asked a funny question that, what do you think about replacing human with AI? And it said, well, I think replacing human with AI is a great idea. I mean, who need human when you have machines that never get tired and doesn't need a coffee break? That's funny. Or scary. I mean, besides ChatGPT, OpenAI has extremely advanced models that can generate codes, text, images. But my question is, how can we develop products out of OpenAI models for making sure they have enterprise readiness and be ready for being a production, you know? How we can detect that part and sort of gain those capabilities. That's why you need Azure enterprise capabilities like security, networking, access control, responsible AI to be added to these OpenAI models. So would you like me to show you, walk through that, how OpenAI models comes to Azure and potentially giving you a demo and walkthrough? No, because I can ask ChatGPT and it will explain it for me. I'm kidding. I would love to certainly know in a visualized manner and maybe even a demo, right? Okay, then join us and let's go. Hello everyone, this is MG and hoping you're doing great. Welcome to another interesting video about what are the benefits of combining OpenAI with Azure. Well, you might have already heard about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and all those great advanced models that OpenAI produced that you can leverage for generative aspect of capabilities like generating text, images, codes, and sort of asking anything that a model can answer. So now the question is, how can I leverage these great capabilities and OpenAI models for developing a product that has enterprise readiness capabilities? And when we talk about enterprise readiness, we are mainly focusing on reliability of the solution, access control over those models for the data that we leverage to predict within those models, making sure even responsible AI principles is added to our solution. So the data that we're using is fair, the inputs that we have is sort of doesn't have any specific bad words, or the solution cannot get abused within the service that I'm providing with this product. All these enterprise capabilities already available within enterprise ecosystem of Azure. And now with combining those with OpenAI models, you have best of the best coming together to give you the dream solution of leveraging the most advanced models for your business and use case. Now, let's go through quickly a walkthrough on how OpenAI and Azure look like and how you can leverage it in your solution and what would be the benefits in a deeper level. Let's check it out. Before we start, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will get notified for the next video. Thank you. All right, as we all know, there is a huge hype running right now inside the internet talking about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and there must be something, right? So for some of you, if you might have not already heard about these keywords, or if you have heard about it but you're not sure exactly what they are, let's quickly start for just a couple of minutes explaining what is OpenAI, what is ChatGPT, what are the high-level capabilities, and then we will discuss on how we can start productionizing our use cases, ideas within our business, within our research, utilizing these great generative models that OpenAI provided, right? So here's the website of OpenAI, and if I scroll down, let's talk about some main capabilities that made these the most advanced, I would say, AI models much popular. So the first thing, GPT-3, these are a variety of different natural language models that they can perform different tasks based on inputs which are text. So for example, Here you can sort of ask anything, like asking for creating a copywriting. Here's an example, and the bolded part is the outcome of the model. Or for example, you can ask summarization. Here's an email to dear Olivia, and it is sort of summarizing the input just in 2 sentences. You can summarize anything, not just emails, right? As long as there's a text input, we can sort of start summarizing and quickly grab the information you want instead of going through all the input. Parsing, that's another example. Here you can see that it sort of started answering the questions from 1 to 4, and from the same order the outcome is here based on the given text on the top. Classification, simply just classify the text based on specific inputs or the questions that you might ask. And translation is just simply translating any language to another, let's say here English to French. Also, moving on further, this one is one of my favorites, and I'm gonna tell you why. As of now, the only way that you could develop your code is just knowing how you code, right? You have to know Python for developing Python, you have to know SQL for developing SQL. But now with Codex, there's an artificial intelligence model that can understand the input as a natural language, the way that you're talking or writing, and then the outcome gonna be the developed code for you. For example, here, check this out. Here I'm saying, here's a table and create a SQL query. I'm not typing the query, and the outcome is the query automatically created for me. And SQL is just a programming language example. That doesn't mean it is just SQL, right? Or here, Python. I'm going to actually ask, hey, that's actually funny. Get the current value of Bitcoin in US dollars from a specific API, and there you go. The outcome is there. It knows what to import, and the function is defined for me. Or code continuation. So, Codex is gonna be extremely useful for development. If you wanna accelerate your coding development process, that's gonna be a great complementary assistant for you that runs totally on AI. And also, it added before in GitHub. You might have heard about Copilot that is actually getting powered by Codex. So these are, again, there are much more different type of tasks you can do, but long story short, these are advanced models that understand natural language and that can perform different tasks. Not only just generating codes or text, but also they can generate images, which comes to this topic of DALL-E. That's another model created by OpenAI. You might have already heard about it, but it is another generative model that you can give the input based on text, and it will generate the outcome as a picture. That can be a realistic picture or animation. You can specify, let's say, the well-known picture of, give me a picture of an astronaut riding a horse on Moon or Mars. That never happened with the history of humanity. I don't know if in future that might happen, but as of now, that doesn't exist. But you can generate the image of that. It's like someone took that image using DALL-E. Amazing. All right, so now we know OpenAI a little bit high level, some of the high level capabilities, why they're pretty advanced and popular. Now let's start talking about how we can create our own products. If we're gonna develop a business idea, use case, products, we need to make sure that our solution is enterprise ready. So enterprise capabilities should be embedded to these models, and that's how Azure will come to this scenario. So now let's shift the conversation towards the partnership with Microsoft and OpenAI, and gradually we'll go through the details, and finally we're gonna be a bit hands-on, providing a walkthrough on how OpenAI looks like on Azure. So we are not going to develop a project or a specific use case or code deeply in this video, but if you're interested to know and do so, please write in the comment that for next videos we are more interested to know, for example, how this specific model can be used as a use case through coding with my custom solution with OpenAI models on Azure. More than happy to do so. Okay, so let me open up my slides. And let's start with the journey of Microsoft AI breakthroughs, because OpenAI plus Microsoft is certainly a significant breakthrough for Microsoft and even whole AI industry, quite honest. So when I was going back, I realized that back almost in July 2019, that was sort of an initial collaboration of Microsoft and OpenAI with introducing a sort of a partnership to accelerate these breakthroughs in AI. And back again in 2020, September 2020, Microsoft teams up with OpenAI for licensing GPT-3 models, the ones that we just saw some of the examples in the OpenAI website. And all the way, we talked about Codex, GitHub, Copilot that help for developing codes, as I talked about it. And now all the way as we are right now, January, I think today is January 23rd that I'm recording this video, so these models, these partnerships keep evolving. I don't know really what time you're watching this video. the time that you're watching, there might be more even updates. So as of now recording, here are the updates that we're going to talk about. So now, generally available, that means as of now, variety of OpenAI models we talked about. So I'm gonna actually show you here quickly. GPT-3 models we talked about, Codex, the one that generated codes, and even DALL-E, the ones generated images, is generally available as of now on Azure. And we're gonna talk about again why we need to use Azure for accessing OpenAI. Is it necessary or not? And what's gonna be the benefits if we access these models through Azure? So, we talked about one of the potential reasons that we're gonna leverage Azure with OpenAI is for enterprise readiness and enterprise capabilities. Then you might ask, okay, MG, what do you mean by enterprise readiness? I want to understand a bit better. Definitely these models are performing in a variety of different use cases. You can leverage these models for healthcare, for finance, for retail, for banking, for energy, any sort of industry domain. And one thing we have to be cautious about is making sure the solution that you're developing and delivering service is going through a responsible AI manner. I already recorded a video, what is responsible AI, what is responsible AI within Microsoft vision, and how we can sort of apply potentially some of the toolkits to help us understand how we are aligned with responsible AI principles. But here to give you an example, how are you gonna assure that when you're using these models, there is no abusement? There is no insulting or bad words within the input of these models and the outcome of these models. So on backend, with collaboration with Microsoft, there are some content detection and filtration developed that will filter out your input to the models and the output of the models in aspect of, let's say, some potential bad words. Or if, as of now, you want to access OpenAI in Azure, first you have to send and fill out a request form. That means Microsoft gonna know what is the use case you're developing with these OpenAI services, what's gonna be the potential product, how you're gonna access the model. So making sure there is a sort of high-level initial monitoring mechanism that the product and the aspect that you want to use these models are not within a way to harm someone or a group of people or cause some not inclusive solution and definitely abusement. That's about responsible AI. So I'm talking very high level. In documentation, there are much more key components of how Microsoft is applying responsible AI for OpenAI models, but this is one of the greatest benefits you can leverage through the combination of OpenAI with Microsoft Azure. Secondly, when we talk about enterprise, coming back to the question, what does that mean? We are talking about enterprise security. So how do we assure that we know that who's going to access to these models when they are leveraged for inferencing? Or from networking perspective, how we're going to assure that specific networks that we specify from those networks can access and call these models. You know, these are available as of now on Azure ecosystem and Azure services, and since OpenAI is going to be one of the Azure services, so you can have networking constraint with OpenAI models, or security, access control, disaster recovery. You can potentially apply and deploy your models from OpenAI to multiple available regions. So in aspect of latency or in aspect of availability, you can switch between these two. And talking about availability, service level agreement or SLA, that is something also a key feature that should be in place for enterprise solution. And Microsoft Azure indicates that with Azure Cognitive Services, which are similar to OpenAI, there are trained models that you can use them, has 99.9% SLA. That means 99.9% of the time, these services deploy models should be available, so whenever you call them, they should give you the outcome. Long story short, to quickly summarize the capabilities and main benefits you can gain out of Azure plus OpenAI, we're going to talk about the models that are available in much more detail. So in high level, Codex, GPT-3, and again, this is evolving. So ChatGPT will be coming soon. As of now, it got announced that ChatGPT is coming, so it's not available yet. Again, the time that you're watching this video, ChatGPT might be already available within OpenAI. And by the way, again, for some of you that don't know what is ChatGPT, which is, I think, the most well-known model of OpenAI, ChatGPT is the most recent and advanced language generative model that you can literally ask any questions about any topic and the answer would be automatically for you. Let me show you actually a quick example. I already have opened ChatGPT. Here I can ask anything and it will immediately give me the response. Let's say I'm recording now a video using this screen to explain what is ChatGPT, say hello to audience, right? Let's see what it's gonna reply. Hello audience, ChatGPT is a large language. Okay, it's sort of introducing itself to you. You can say hi back to ChatGPT. It is fantastic, quite honest. Give it a try. You just search ChatGPT login. You can authenticate through Google or your Gmail, and then you can just write down any question. You can ask actually codes example, and it will generate codes even here for you. So let's go back to the slides. Give me 1 second. Okay, so again, ChatGPT is coming to Azure. You can even fine-tune these models within Azure as well. So if, let's say, you have a specific data set that is for your industry, let's say healthcare data set, finance data set, that you want to further tune and further tuning these models, you can have fine-tuning here. But again, fine-tuning can be expensive. These models are huge and they can be already enough for your specific use case. So if it's really needed, you can do fine-tuning, and fine-tuning is available by request. You have to request Microsoft Azure, and as soon as you gain access, you can sort of start fine-tuning. Pricing, I'll come to that and show you sort of how pricing gonna look like with OpenAI models on Azure. Virtual networking, I mentioned that's already supported. Manage identity, you can assign identity to OpenAI service on Azure for connecting to different Azure ecosystems in aspect of security, and this is one of the best practices. UI experience, I'll show you quickly on Azure that you can launch OpenAI Azure. There's a UI, you have a playground, you can start sort of generating some of the samples. I'll show you as well. Region availability, as of now, these are the primary regions available. And content filtering, I talked about responsible AI, that it will sort of filter the input and output, making sure it doesn't have something that violate the policy or misabusement or sort of bad wording in solvings. Okay, now which models are available when we talk about GPT-3 available on OpenAI in Azure? What do we mean? So GPT-3 is a family of models, not just one model. And you can see here is a list of models that you have to sort of request to access them. I will show you how you can do that. They have different capabilities, and we can compare them in aspect of the performance, in aspect of how expensive they are, in aspect of how fast they are. So here you can keep the screenshot of this video as a reference on how different they are. So what is the difference between completion and embeddings? Completion is the time that you sort of ask the model for generating an output or completing a sort of a text that you have, and then sort of give you an output. So similar thing that we saw in the OpenAI UI. But when we talk about support embeddings, some of these models can give you the embeddings, the word embeddings based on your input. And what are embeddings? Embeddings are a conversion from text to something, to some vectors that machine learning models can understand. So if you have all your text as an input and then the word embeddings or vectors or numbers as an output, then you can use those vectors to sort of search the similarity between other texts, for example, or similarity between codes. This is capabilities that some of the models support, some of them are not, and you can see in this table that GPT-3 models, mainly these ones, they just support completions. Now, for example, I was actually checking out my notes here. ChatGPT models can understand and generate natural language. So you can see each with different, again, I told you the power and the speed gonna be the main features that you can distinguish them. And here I can see DaVinci. Where's DaVinci here? There you go. DaVinci is the most capable model, while Ada, the first one, is the fastest one. So that's a trade-off. Now, Codex models, the one actually that generate codes, not text, you can see them here with the same concept. For example, again, looking my notes, I want to tell you which languages are supported with this Codex. So I can see Python, C#, again, dozens of languages, not just including these two, JavaScript, Go, Perl, PHP, Ruby, Swift, TypeScript, SQL, and even Shell is supported. And lastly, now we talked about embeddings, right? So these models are the ones that support embeddings and base model regions, and the regions that you can fine tune them, which are not applicable as of now. So when we talk about embeddings, you can have three different functionalities with the outcomes of the word embeddings. For example, you can check out the similarity between text, you can check out the text search, and you can even check code search with the embeddings, which are the outcome of these models. These models can be different in the aspect of the how long the numerical vector or the outcome of these models gonna be. For example, I see Da Vinci has the most dimension, almost 12,288, and Ada is the lowest one, just 1,024. Da Vinci is the most capable one, but it's slower and more expensive. But on the other hand, Ada is the least capable, but it's much faster and also cheaper. Alright, so now we know OpenAI, we know ChatGPT, we know capabilities, we talk about the benefits that we gain when we move OpenAI to Azure and what models are available, what are the differences and the main capabilities. Again, DALL-E is also available, ChatGPT is coming soon, but before even gaining access, you have to fill out the request form. Again, Microsoft want to know, making sure that you're responsibly using OpenAI in your use cases. You have to sort of answer some questions about your name, your subscription, your company name, and even I saw a place that it will ask you your potential use case, what you're going to do. Explain how you will use Azure OpenAI service. This is pretty important. So you fill these informations out and then you receive an email saying that your request got approval. And what's going to happen is when you go to your Azure portal, you can just type OpenAI here and you will see Azure OpenAI gonna get appeared. Then you can click on create, and now you will be able to create an OpenAI service on Azure. So I've already created one, so you just need to specify your subscription, resource group, region, give it a name, and that's it. The pricing tier is just a standard as of now. And by the way, I told you I'm gonna show you the pricing. The pricing is pay as you go, and here, for example, for codecs, for base series, for fine-tuning, for embeddings, different models, they have different pricing, and I told you different pricing versus different performance and sort of how good they are with the capabilities. So coming back to my Azure portal, as soon as you create, you'll see with the given name, your OpenAI service is available on Azure. So we talked about access control. Now I can specify one of the enterprise capabilities, right? Who can get access to my OpenAI models and under what role or definition of permissions, right? So very similar to other Azure services, here you can specify role assignments. Let me show you the roles that you can have for OpenAI, which is very similar to also other cognitive services. Here, for example, I saw couple of just OpenAI specific roles. Let's say OpenAI contributor. If you specify any person in your team organization with this role, they will get full access, including fine-tuning, deploy, and generating text. Or as an OpenAI user, that's another role with the specification here. Okay, let's go back to the overview. Now for leveraging any model and call them as an API, you have to first deploy them here, right? So you go to model deployment, and here I have deployed one model. I think that was, yes, Da Vinci 2. You can create another one, give it a name, test MG. And the models, again, these are the models that I already get access to. Again, I haven't requested access into DALL-E as an example that generate text. So you might get access to different models and you see different things. And again, these are evolving. The time that you watch this video, you might see a different list of models. So you deployed it, and if you click on the deployed one, okay, just show me actually the list of deployed ones. Let me go to the key and endpoints. All right, yes, I think, okay, I will be able to actually leverage this model through the key that I can have to call this API. So if we go to the key and endpoints, you know, it's like similar to calling any other APIs. You have an API you want to call, so you have to specify a key, making sure that you can sort of authorize and gain access to this. You grab the key and utilize it in your code, and you can call these models out of this service in your Python code, in your Jupyter Notebook, in Azure Machine Learning, Databricks. So let's open up the studio of Azure OpenAI and see what we can gain there. So I told you already about there's a UI experience for Azure OpenAI, very similar to OpenAI UI that we saw. You can have sort of a similar experience here. There you go. So here are some very quick examples that I can play with them. Summarizing the text, natural language to SQL, generating your product's name. Let's go with summarizing text as an example, right? let's go. So here is an example. See, I told you you need to have an API key, right? This code can be running on, let's say, Azure Machine Learning to call a model that I deployed to with the deployment name and give the input, which is a text, and the output gonna be the summarized text. And the model is DaVinci, the one that I deployed actually. So let's do a quick playground, do a quick test in the playground. Here is a input that I have, and this sign shows that this is the end of the text, and I want to sort of summarize it. You can tune some of the parameters here. Each of them, they do a certain different things. Let's say top priority, control which tokens the model will consider when generating response, right? You can tune them, and that will also affect their performance. I click on generate. Let's wait a bit. There you go. The outcome is sort of generating the inputs in a summarized manner. I can, let's say, switch to English to French. All those examples I talked in OpenAI, they're available here. Natural language to SQL. Here's a text input asking to give you a query based on this input. So I click on generate. I'm expecting giving me sort of a, there you go, query that I didn't even write it. Now, going to the model section, here are the list of the models. You can do fine tuning that I told you. If you have a specific data that you want to fine tune these models, you can do so. So you can customize these models. Then you sort of start with giving a model-based model type, then your training data, your validation data. You have to provide this data set if you want to fine tune them, and you can have this model tuned and deployed for your specific use case. Again, you need to request to be able to do so. I haven't requested, and that might be an expensive also request as well. So make sure you validate if it's really needed so you can move on with fine tuning. All right, again, what we discussed, we started with OpenAI. We had a quick introduction about OpenAI, generative models, and then we talked about the benefits of OpenAI with Azure. We talked about the models are available, how you can get access to these capabilities, how you can send a request to be able to create OpenAI service. And as soon as you create, what you will see, what's going to be the playground, how you can deploy a model, and what are the capabilities in OpenAI with Azure. So again, this was a sort of a quick high level and walkthrough to introduce you the capabilities and sort of triggering the RF possibilities in your mind for any specific business use case project that you're already focusing. If you are keen and interested to know further in deeper level, in hands-on manner of any specific capabilities that we just talked about, please ping me in the comment section. Again, I'm also waiting for models coming in like ChatGPT, so I have to sort of pause a bit to make sure that these evolving capabilities are cooked within Azure and coming in, so when I create a video, that will be based on the most updated capabilities. But still, I want to know your comments and sort of see if you are potentially seeing another video coming in based on the topics that you are curious to know more for Azure OpenAI. That's it for this video, and thanks for watching. Small minds talk about people, gossip. Good minds talk about events. Great minds talk about ideas. Dream big, my friends, and take action. Take care, and we'll see you shortly in the next video. Bye for now.